Peter and Janet McLaren. They represent a type of early settler, from humble origins in Scotland and with limited prospects there, who saw Otago as a land of opportunity. Peter was born in 1824 on a croft here at Glenquake in Kenmore Parish in Perthshire. Now, this was an area that was subject to clearance for sheep farming in 1835, and many of its residents emigrated to Canada or scattered to the south. Peter worked as a farm labourer and then a stonemason in railway construction, but as recorded in a newspaper profile in Dunedin in 1888,
as his prospects of improving his position in life were not of the brightest, he made up his mind to immigrate to Otago,
attracted by the new settlement's Scottish and Free Church character. Now, following the standard advice to young males that life as a colonist would be much enhanced having a young wife to help him, Peter married Janet McGregor, also known as Jessie, in Montrose just 9 days before sailing. Janet was born in 1826 here in Granton-on-Spey, in an area now famous worldwide for its whisky production. She was the daughter of a corporal in the 75th Highland Regiment who'd been badly wounded at the Battle of Waterloo, one of thousands of such veterans whose post-war struggles were a sad feature of life in early 19th century Scotland. The young couple were granted assisted passage on the Mariner, which sailed from London for New Zealand in February 1849. Their early life in Dunedin proved a challenge. Aged just 23 and 22 respectively, they had few resources. Peter began his colonial career as an agricultural labourer at Green Island, while Janet remained in town. Wages were low, prices were high, but as Peter's obituary records, by prudential management, both ends were made to meet. Aye, and overlap a bit. His next job at West Tyree saw them reunited, but only after an epic journey for Janet that saw her travel by whaleboat, canoe and pack saddle, sleeping overnight in the bush with friendly Maori and then making their way across the roadless swamps to their new position. And so it was to continue for the next 7 years, working for one owner after another while they slowly saved their pennies. All through these years, Peter received regular letters from his brother Donald, who was working as a carpenter in Edinburgh, but constantly weighing up the benefits of immigration. These letters open a window into the world of Highland families like the McLarens, struggling to make ends meet and worried about future prospects, and sharing news of family and friends with those who had gone abroad. Donald was concerned about the impact on his health of continuing to work in Edinburgh, and keen to emigrate to New Zealand himself, but also weighing up the choice between Otago and America, where another brother had gone. But also holding him back was the well-being of their widowed mother, who refused to leave Glenquake, as well as the high cost of coming out to New Zealand now that the Otago Association had collapsed and there were no more assisted fares. Donald's appeal for details on land prices and work opportunities in New Zealand showcases the importance of these family networks as the most reliable sources of information for prospective immigrants. Then, in 1856, with a significant reduction in the set price for Otago land, Peter and Janet were finally able to buy a place of their own. It was just 60 acres of relatively poor land, high up and difficult to access above the cliffs at St Clair, but it was a place where they could make a home. Peter's skills as a mason eventually enabled him to build a 2-storey stone cottage using bluestone outcrops from his own fields and with outbuildings made from rocks cut to fit. He called it Kenmore after his home parish back in Scotland. There they would raise 10 children, one more died in childhood, including 7 sons, enough to make up a team of McLarens to challenge the local volunteer unit in an annual shooting competition. Otherwise, Peter and Janet played little part in public life, but they earned a high reputation for the quality of their farm produce, especially Janet's butter, which was keenly sought after by some of Dunedin's leading hotels. Peter died in 1889, aged just 65 after a long illness. Janet survived him by 20 years, staying on at Kenmore with 3 of her unmarried adult children. She died in 1909, aged 82. Janet left behind a modest estate, signing her will with an X, never having learned to write, but she'd done pretty well for the daughter of a veteran of Waterloo who'd been maimed and had built a comfortable life for herself here from scratch, and left behind for her children a beautiful stone cottage, lovely old home. Now that cottage stayed here, surviving the battering of all those ocean winds above the cliffs at St Clair for almost a century, until finally it was burnt down by a bunch of larrikins in 1960. Its location is now the St Clair golf course, but few golfers probably know exactly why hole 14 is called Kenmore. But beneath the smooth sward of green lie the memories of a young Highland couple who took a chance on Otago to build a new life for themselves and for those who would follow.